Connected Life, it's Dr. Steve here. Today we're going to break through the illusion that you're lazy or that you're having lazy cycles. And let's get ready to break through this. Okay, so today we are going to focus our attention on this whole lazy bit. I can't tell you how many times over the years in clinical practice that I've had people come in, I have no energy, I'm feeling lazy, feeling depressed and down, and like I can't do anything, and that's understandable. There are definitely moments in which our bodies require some sort of preservation mode of energy. Sometimes, let's face it, our bodies just need to replenish energy. Now, the thing though is where people get caught in their judgment of themselves is they get caught in this rigid definition of what lazy is. And most of it stems from early on and some early upbringing belief systems about that it is much better to be hardworking than it is to be lazy. And we get caught in that duality because if we are laying on the couch resting, that could easily be seen as being physically lazy, which is the opposite of being physically hardworking. And so if you identify in a belief system that hardworking is better than being lazy, then every time that your body expresses some degree of being physically lazy, you are judging yourself, you are feeling shameful about what you're doing, and feeling guilty that you're not doing more. Wave your hand if you've ever felt that guilt or shame of not doing enough. Okay, well, this is kind of what we're tackling. And I'll tell you how I solved this particular dilemma with myself years ago, because I did not like the part of me that was lazy. But then what I did was every time I went back in my memory bank and I remembered the moments in which I was particularly lazy. Now, lazy just meant I was laying around and I actually wasn't doing a physical workout. But in duality, there's no such thing as being lazy. There's an expression that you're doing that comprises both lazy and hardworking. And so I was being physically lazy. I'll give you an idea. I was being physically lazy, but at the same time, I was being very mentally active. And as I'm physically and mentally active, I'm coming up with ideas, ways to teach people, different topics I want to talk about. And so I'm being physically lazy, being very mentally active. Now, you could agree or disagree that sometimes when we're being physically active, we're being mentally lazy. We're just doing work and not really even providing much, mental thought. We're just letting our minds wander and we're being physically active. So we're being physically active, mentally lazy. And so I want you to begin to catch yourself in this belief system about what lazy means and about what hardworking means and about being physically active and being physically lazy and mentally active. We need to start to confuse that a little bit in your system because from early on it gets pretty hardwired about what hardworking means and what lazy means. And most oftentimes in the healing process, people have a very, very difficult time giving themselves permission to relax and replenish and rejuvenate their energy because they associate that with the shame and guilt of being lazy, and they're not the same thing. But they could look like the same thing. So what I would want you to do is I want you to go in and begin to break down the belief system. So when you're being really active, I want you to find out where at the same time you're being lazy. And when you think you're being lazy, I want you to find out where you're actually being hardworking. Because if you take any scenario, and you can pretty much take any scenario, like over the next hour if you wanted to, and just document things that you're doing. And document those things that you're doing. Maybe there's 10 or 15 things over the next hour. And ask yourself each of those things, where am I being lazy and where am I being hardworking at the same time? Where am I being lazy, hardworking? 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 And I will assure you that you will see that in each moment that you identify, you can find both where you're being lazy and where you're being hardworking. Now, what's the point of this though? Well, the point is to break your judgment of yourself. Because every time you judge yourself, you're basically reinforcing shame and guilt unnecessarily. You're reinforcing shame and guilt unnecessarily. There's no need to have emotional baggage developing because you decide that you're going to take a rest. There's no need for that. There's no need for you to build shame and guilt and the emotional baggage that comes with that because you need to take a nap, or that you want to go to bed early, or that you want to sleep in a little bit longer at times. Like all those things, as odd as they are and as simple as they seem, for many, many people, they get laced in self-judgment about feeling shameful and guilty about not doing enough, or not being active enough, or not getting up early enough, or not going to bed too early, or I shouldn't have to take a nap, or like all these things I hear from people day in and day out. And so what I'm doing here with you is just showing you that we don't need to be enslaved with the emotional drama of whether we're being physically lazy or mentally active or whatever that is for you. I want you to go through moments where you perceive yourself as being physically lazy and find out where at that exact same time am I being active. And you will see that every time you go through a moment where you are physically lazy, PL, physically lazy, you will find an exact same thing where you are being active in some other way. You're being active in some other way. You're being active in some other way. Imagine you're laying back on the couch, for example, being physically lazy, but you're having a really in-depth conversation with somebody. I mean, isn't that being active? Isn't that working hard at deepening conversation? So, of course it is. So, we got this pigeonhole on being physically lazy and not simultaneously appreciating another part of us that's being active at the same time. And when you start to see that, the guilt and the shame lifts and the emotional baggage lifts. And then you'll be more curious when you do take physical rests, which generally, when people do this exercise, they actually lay around less, coincidentally. But they have stopped beating themselves up for laying around. And usually when that happens, they just naturally have more energy to move around anyways. And if they do lay around, they are going to find value in the value of laying around because they're going to see where they're active and where they're being productive. And when you do that, then you see yourself more as an expression versus a label of whether you're being lazy or active. So that's what I want to encourage you is dropping the labels, adding appreciation to yourself. The way to do that, though, is we have to break this rigid definition of what physically lazy is to find out its complementary opposite of where I'm being active. And it could be active in communication, thought process, imagination, you name it. Lots of places that we can be really active, and find the duality in there, and you will love yourself more, appreciate yourself more, and you'll be more curious in your general behavior and in life. So go track that down, relieve yourself of the guilt and the labels, and just know that you are a human being with a set of priorities and a set of values, and you're looking to fulfill things that are most important to you, and you'll do what you need to do. So hopefully this was helpful, and break the lazy cycle and embrace yourself in all parts. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, Dr. Steve here. If you hate this channel, leave a nasty comment below and don't subscribe. But if you do like this content, I'd love for you to be able to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a wonderful, inspiring comment below as to what you're learning. So we'll talk to you soon.